Welcome back to the house next door.
Where real estate meets reality.
I'm Anthony Harris.
And I'm Barbara Giglio. Well, I almost said I'm Barbara Harris. I swear, I almost said, and I'm Barbara Harris. I don't know why, but it just was like going to come out. It's just going to come out of my mouth. I don't know why that was.
So, are we going to redo this?
No, I love it. So, let's do our joke. Since we're in the comedy club, we need to give honor to our fellow comedians.
Is it honor or insult?
It's honor, and not our fellow comedians, because we're not comedians. To the comedians. Okay, Anthony,
right,
give us your joke. Ready? Yeah.
Why don't real estate agents ever get lost?
I don't know. GPS?
Because they always know the best location. Cheesy.
Oh, gosh.
That's what we're here for.
Yes. Well, let's catch up a little because we haven't chatted in a hot minute about stuff in our life.
Let's talk about your Bronco because your Bronco makes good news stories.
Oh, that's right. So, it was the weirdest thing. So you know how Jeeps have the ducks, and they're called. You get ducked.
Yeah.
When you have I guess it's like it started during COVID and giving each other ducks and things. So I was at HEB and I have a big red Bronco and I got ducked.
Wow.
I got ducked on my Bronco.
Do they know that it's not a Jeep?
Well, I don't know. So I didn't even really know what it was. My mom was with me and there was a little duck on my running board, a little blue duck with a silver bell, and it was like really cute. Mom goes, "There's a duck on your car. Somebody left you a little duck." And then there was this woman walking around. She couldn't find her car, and it was a Jeep that she was looking for. And I go, "Wow, I have this duck." She just happened to walk by at that time, and she goes, "Oh, you got ducked. Somebody thought you had a Jeep." And she's like, "Or they just liked your Bronco and gave you a duck."
That's cool.
And she couldn't find her car. And she's like, "I drive a Jeep and I'm looking for my Jeep and I can't find it." And she kept going around and around and around.
All been there.
And then she's like, "Well, my daughter came and picked up my Jeep and left my other car in its place."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so rude."
Right.
And then she goes, "I think it was my daughter who probably ducked you." Because she said, "I have a bag of ducks in my Jeep to give to other people." And she probably just didn't know. But what if maybe my Bronco was so cool that it
got the duck badge?
It crossed over car culture to get duck. Because with Broncos, it's called bucking.
Okay.
Where you leave like a little horse.
Oh,
or
I didn't know that.
You have a Sasquatch package, which is, I think I have that.
Is that just a big car?
You put like a Bigfoot on their car.
Okay.
Or you can get a duck that looks like a horse and leave it for Bronco owners. So yeah, there's this whole thing called. But I got ducked. I got ducked. I was really.
You got to be ducking kidding me.
I got ducked, and now I asked the lady. I said, "Well, since I don't have a Jeep, can I put it on my dashboard?" And she said, "Honey, you put that duck on your dashboard and you display it proudly." And I said, "Okay." So he just sits on my little dashboard now.
Oh, so you have a duck.
I have a duck.
I have lots of ducks, so I'll have to give you another duck.
Well, and tell us about, you just sent me something that you looked at yesterday. It was a glass house. No, it was a house with an elevator.
A glass elevator.
Okay, what the heck?
Yeah, it's kind of 3 stories-ish. You come in on the second level, but it's just like a little foyer. And then, so it has an elevator that goes, and it's glass. It was like 4,000 square feet or...
Wow, that's a pretty big house.
It's big, yeah.
So did you guys get in the elevator and go up and down?
Not yet. We're looking at it today.
And it's glass. I saw it, and it just goes up from all 3 levels.
It looked like Willy Wonka.
It did kind of look like Willy Wonka. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I'll film it.
That's so much added maintenance.
That is.
Yeah, and then you get. What if you're naked in the elevator and get stuck?
Well, then everybody sees you because it's glass.
You're just like, "Oh, I'm just going to, if you're one of those people who sleeps naked, I'm not because I'm afraid of a natural disaster. And then I'm going to be running around the neighborhood.
So the house is going to be on fire and you're going to be going down the glass elevator.
Yeah. So I'm terrified too.
And it's going to stop.
But I know a lot of people do sleep naked. So what if you're like, "Oh, I'm just going to get a glass of water or something." You hop in your elevator that's glass. You get stuck. There you're stuck in your elevator. Naked and afraid.
I
don't know. That's where my mind went immediately.
Yeah, no,
I don't get it.
I don't think I'd be naked in my glass elevator,
But you might just be like, I'm going to go get a snack. and then that's when it happens.
Then you'd have to call the elevator repairman.
I know. Or your mom to come over and like get you out and like, sorry, mom. And you like push your never mind, I won't say it. Yeah.
Anywho,
So let's get on to the subject of our podcast today.
If we haven't been canceled
I'm
already.
sorry I make all things dirty. But that's exactly what I thought of when I thought of your glass elevator. Like, what if you were naked in it?
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Okay. Andy, what's our episode about today?
So we're going to talk about HOAs.
Ooh.
The good, the bad, and the crazy.
The good, the bad, and the crazy of HOAs. And I feel like this is going to be the episode where you really get to talk for once. Because
maybe. We'll see.
Jury's out. Because you are so, like, you know everything about an HOA.
Well, I don't know about everything.
Well, you know more than me. And I don't know a lot. So, hey, you know everything. So there you go.
So do you know what an HOA is?
Homeowners Association. I knew that.
Do you know what they do?
Yeah, they're there to put in all kinds of stupid rules. So, like, you don't have a pink house next to you or a broken down car.
But you own a pink car or a pink house next to you.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, I want.
Yeah.
I thought you said I own
No.
one. Yeah. No, like, so for me, I don't mind. Like, I'm kind of anti-HOA.
Uh-huh.
The less is more for me. But there are people who, like, clients will say, I don't want an HOA. I don't want an HOA. And then I go show them the neighborhoods where there are no HOAs. And they're like, well, why are there doll heads all over the fence? You know, there's those properties that have all the doll heads. Oh, that's so creepy and cool. And I'm like, well, you said, well, I think it's kind of cool. Like there was,
Until they haunt you.
There was one where I drove by and they had all these spikes, right, with baby like doll heads on.
Oh, they were probably murderers.
And Barbie doll heads on.
Oh.
And it was hundreds. And they lined the whole fence.
On the spikes.
On the spikes.
Like,
yeah, like they were impaled. Oh. And I was like, what? That's something you don't see every day.
Yeah, I bet it was the FBI's most wanted that lived there.
You know where it was? It was out by that lot that I told you about where I thought you would end up if you got roofied at a bar. So it was in that neighborhood.
It makes sense.
So
makes sense.
But, you know, it's like, they think they want it, and then they see that, you know, really there are no rules.
Yeah.
So
it's the Wild West.
So do they really want it? Like, so, yeah.
Yeah, see, you know what an HOA is.
Well, I know what an HOA is, but you know a lot.
So you talked about it, but some of the benefits of an HOA.
Okay, yeah, say the good. What's the good of an HOA?
There's law and order. They make sure that your neighbor, or try to make sure that your neighbors are keeping their house up, keeping it clean.
No weeds in the yard. No couches in the front yard.
But that's my favorite. Watching the stars from the couch in the front yard.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
And then you have your Lone Star beer in the ice cooler next to you.
Are you making some what generalizations? Okay, go on.
So
other good
they
things.
Maintain law and order. They maintain sometimes roads, depending if it's gated. Gates if they have them. Clubhouses, pools.
Yards, if you have like small yards in the front, they'll maintain them so you have that nice
like
lock and leave. Yeah, like my listing, a lock and leave vibe.
Yeah.
And they maintain order, so you have a very symmetry look, especially if you're a person who likes, you know, everything looking really super neat and tidy, and you don't like weeds, and you don't like this or that. It gives you that uniform look, and without you having to march over to your neighbor's house and say, pull your weeds.
Well, that was going to bring me to my next point. What is an HOA? What brings out the Karens?
It brings out the Karens.
Sorry, Karen. So it brings out the ones that want to complain about something. They want to go to the meetings and make a fuss, which is interesting. I just sold a house that's in a very regulated, like 55 and up community.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And my clients were telling me that their neighbor hates HOAs, like absolutely hates them.
So why would they move there?
Yeah, you picked the wrong neighborhood. Like they have a gate with a guard that has a gun.
Right.
Like, you picked the wrong neighborhood.
Well, and active adult communities are really known for very, very restrictive. Well, first of all, they're age restricted. You can't have kids in full time, and you can only have them, a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a unique choice.
Yeah.
For somebody who doesn't like an HOA.
She said because her family moved to or her son or someone moved to Canyon Lake. I was like, well, you probably should have moved out there. There's no HOA out there.
Right, exactly. So talk about so this is new to me. So the private roads and the gated communities. So if you have a gate in a neighborhood, the HOA takes care of those roads.
Yes.
Right. So no longer the city is not responsible for those roads. So what does that mean for residents? So
the residents are responsible for maintenance and the upkeep of the roads.
So that could be higher HOA dues?
Yes. And then if something happens to the roads, there could be a special assessment to pay for that, where all the homeowners have to pay in extra money.
And explain what a special assessment is, because a lot of people don't know what that means.
Special assessment is it's where the board has decided on they need extra funds for something. Okay. So it could be for maintenance, deferred maintenance, it could be maintenance, it could be bigger reserve, whatever the case might be, which a reserve is just the savings account for the HOA. Or they're going to do a big capital project like new roofs for everybody or whatever. So they need special assessments to be assessed where it's a one-time HOA fee.
Okay.
To fund those.
So do they just spring that on the residents, or is there like a meeting, or how do they go about saying we're going to fix the roads and by the way, you guys owe
$10,000.
Is there like a cap, or how does that work?
There's no cap.
Okay. So they could literally come to you with that kind of bill.
Yep. There was a condo downtown that their special assessments were $40,000.
$40,000.
They needed new balconies
for all the. And so, how do the people get to vote on this?
Yeah. So typically they have to vote, and then I don't know if it's the board that votes on it or the people. But with theirs, they gave them the option to do a loan over 5 years or whatever to pay $40,000.
Oh my gosh! So this was individuals were having to pay 40, or was it split? The 40,000 was split.
It was each unit was 40,000.
Oh,
I think it was 30 or 40, but a lot of money.
Yeah, so that could make it so you can't afford your home.
Yeah,
and you have no control over this.
And so what happened was when the residents sued over it, and that brings us to our next plight. So then when they sued, the HOA was in a lawsuit, which also cost money.
Right.
But whenever someone sues the HOA, most of the times a lender will not lend on it.
So now you can't sell your house.
Yep. So they were stuck in litigation, I think, for 2 years. And
my gosh.
They gave allowance of people because it was restricted on how many could be rentals. But they lifted that so that people that had to move could
afford to pay their mortgage. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I knew that when your HOAs are getting sued, it's near impossible to be able to sell your home because the lenders aren't going to lend on it.
Yep, because you're buying into that HOA. And
you're buying into a lawsuit.
Yep.
Yeah, and so the house, the property is tied up into litigation. That's really scary.
Yep.
To know that. So I could see my old neighborhood, Clearwater Ranch, people kept saying they wanted it to be gated. And the other side of that was, well, once they're gated, then we have private roads, and we're going to be responsible for maintaining those roads. And people were like, well, I don't want my HOA fees to go up. Well, your HOA fees are going to go up if all of a sudden we're taking care of a road. And then I could just already see how that was going to happen. Well, there's a pothole. Now our HOA fees go up. And all the people on the Facebook page that are part of the HOA, it's so much politics and noise and people complaining. Yep. So I could see where it's like, let's not put a gate on that, please. Yeah. Let's let the city take care of that. Oh, that's nuts. So what does an HOA do? Tell me.
So, good question. Who knows?
No. Scam you, take your money for these 40,000 assessments. Well, we talked a little bit about what they do.
Yeah.
They keep rules.
The problem I have is HOA management companies.
Okay, talk
because,
about that.
Because, when we do a contract, we have the transfer fee and the resale certificate.
Yes.
So buyers and sellers have to pay all this money for the HOA management company, and none of it goes to the HOA.
It just goes to the company that manages it.
To hit print.
Yeah.
Control P.
Right, just to transfer the HOA ownership into the new buyers, it's $500.
Yeah, insane.
That's it. And if for whatever reason that certificate is ordered before the buyers of that current, contract decide to back out, and then you get a new buyer, the sellers have to pay oftentimes another $500 transfer fee, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So we try to wait until option
the very
period.
last minute. Yeah. But so they do maintain the pools. We talked about that. They maintain the parks. They maintain the gates or the clubhouses and the landscaping.
They make people mad.
So my HOA in my last neighborhood was really tight. Like there were people in the community on it, and there was also, the management company. And, you'd have just a few weeds in your yard, and then they would give you a letter, right? And then there was also the time where we couldn't water here in Texas. Like we were on water restrictions. We were in a bad drought.
Yeah.
And if we watered, we would get in trouble with the city and charge. And they were actually putting water meters on restricting your water flow.
Wow.
Right out where we were. And so everybody's lawn dies. And then all of us were getting HOA violations because our lawns were dying. But we were like, but we can't water our lawn.
Yeah.
You have to remove these violations. And they wouldn't. And if you get to where you have to pay them, they could foreclose on your house. So talk about that.
Yeah. So if you don't pay your fines or you don't pay your HOA dues, they can force a foreclosure on the house. And it's not very common because it costs a lot of money. But HOAs can. So in my parents' previous neighborhood, or they still live there, there was a bank that owned a house and didn't upkeep it. So the HOA continuously had to go over there and mow and, maintain this house for 2 years.
Because it was on a foreclosure? Yeah.
And so they filed foreclosure notice on the bank. So they foreclosed on it from the bank.
So the house was already in foreclosure.
Yep.
Owned by the bank. And they weren't taking care of the yard. So then the HOA gave them so many violations that it foreclosed on the foreclosure.
Yep. And they hadn't paid HOA dues either.
And they hadn't paid HOA dues.
Yep.
Oh,
from before
my gosh.
the previous, the owners that got foreclosed on. So they hadn't been paying.
So how do you even ever sell a house that has 2 foreclosures on it?
That's a question for Noah.
That is a question for Noah. We're going to have a title guy come in, and he can explain that to us. Isn't
that crazy?
That's a pretty crazy.
And it got really messy too. So after they foreclosed on it, the HOA sold it to an investor.
Okay.
And they took that money.
Wait, so the bank no longer owned it.
Nope.
HOA now owns the house. I've never heard of an HOA owning a house.
Yeah.
But it can go that far.
I guess so. I don't know exactly what happened with it. It was a big mess, though.
Okay.
So they made a promise to the investor that if they can't get clear title to it, then they would pay for all the repairs that the investor did and buy it back from them.
That is the stupidest
thing.
That's
good for the investor.
I mean, it's great for the investor, but I mean,
the HOA?
What do they even, how does that even make sense?
Well, and then
Could you imagine having the HOA as your seller?
Well, come to find out, the president lived next door, and he was about to sell his house, so he didn't want that one to...
So here we go. This was all a self-serving situation that, it didn't make any sense, but now it makes sense because it was kind of corrupt and self-serving.
Yep.
Which I would say that a lot of people would argue that these HOAs are very political, very self-serving.
Yep.
And a lot of, kind of egotistical people wielding some power that benefits
I'm the HOA
them.
president.
Yeah, that benefits them and their
empire of the HOA.
Well, and just how people are so intolerant of how other people live. Everybody thinks you should live the way that you live. It's one of those things where we live in a community of humans. People have different standards and different ways of living, but the HOAs is kind of all like-minded. These are our rules. Everybody has to follow our rules. You have to drive slow. You have to keep your weeds out. This is my tiny little box of acceptable human behavior. And if you don't fit in it, I'm going to foreclose on your house. It's just nuts.
Crazy.
But I mean, again, we're kind of bashing. We're kind of bashing them.
There's some good. Yours is good. Your current HOA.
No, I don't like certain things about it. So we can't have chickens.
Well,
and I want to have chickens.
I agree with that because I don't like birds.
Well, I know you don't like birds, but I understand
But you
the
already
reasoning.
have turkeys.
Well, the reasoning is we are a wildlife sanctuary. And so we have to try to create these habitats. Like we're really not supposed to get rid of our brush a lot because we have to create habitats for birds and squirrels and all of this good stuff. We're not really supposed to do a lot of pest control because, again, we're trying to make sure that all the animals
gophers
can feed. I mean, we're really not supposed to do that either because if we poison them and a bird of prey eats them, now we've killed the bird of prey. So we're really supposed to do all this natural pest control. We're not really supposed to do any weed control because the dandelions, when they come up, they're the first food for the bees after the winter. And so there's all these kind of rules around being in a wildlife sanctuary. And they're actually pretty cool. But the chicken one I don't like, but it makes sense because chickens bring predators in. And so as soon as you put a chicken coop out there, now all the coyotes are getting the deer, they're getting the turkey. Yeah. So you're introducing this element of prey. So so I don't like it, but I respect it.
But you can have it at your mom's house.
I could have it at my mom's house, but my mom said no.
So
there's that. She already said
Maybe
no.
Maybe Peter will tell you yes.
But that's an instance where somebody like me might think, oh, that's stupid. Why does the HOA put that rule in place? But when you look at the bigger picture, they're really trying to protect the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, all right, that's an instance where an HOA is making sense. So sometimes we have to look at the bigger, longer picture for some of it. But then, you get the stories like when we were moving out of our house and we had a moving truck. Oh, my son's moving. It's like right there on the side of the truck. And we have boxes that are kind of out in the yard because they're loading them up into the truck. And, we caught an HOA violation.
Wow.
They took a picture of the boxes in the yard.
But not the truck.
No, with the moving truck in the picture and said, you're not allowed to have boxes on the side of the road. And I'm like, we literally were like...
2 hours.
It wasn't even like... They had us packed... Craig was like, I cannot believe this. This is just somebody who
That's your goodbye letter.
Yes, that's your goodbye letter. I mean, this is literally somebody who is just... it was
has
ridiculous.
Nothing better to do.
Nothing. That is ridiculous HOA type
crazy
situation. So I just, and we were so glad to leave that neighborhood because of all of.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little weed, you get a little this, you get a little that,
brown,
all of it. It was, but the neighborhood looked beautiful. I'll give him that.
Well, better. Yeah. So, what's the weirdest HOA rule that you've seen?
So, I don't know if it's an HOA rule as much as it was a deed restriction.
Okay.
Which I think they're kind of the same because HOA would probably enforce the deed restrictions. And it was for a property, it was out country property. And I believe it was out in LaGrange. So Fayette County. And Fayette. I always want to say
Fayette.
I always want to say Fayette wrong.
Yeah.
But
how do you say it?
Now we can't say it wrong. I've been saying it wrong.
Fayette?
I always want to say Fayette, but it's Fayette. And I was reading through the deed restrictions because my client wanted to see if, mobile homes were allowed or not allowed. They did not want to be in a place where mobile homes were allowed. So I was reading through all those restrictions. And one of the deed restrictions, I kid you not, was you have to be a decent human. They were like, you have to be a nice person. We really just want folks who get along. And if you're obnoxious, you really have no business being here. We will not tolerate obnoxious behavior.
Wow.
That might be the coolest deed restriction I've ever read.
Who's the determining factor of that?
But it's a little subjective.
Yeah.
But I love that they actually put in...
You can pull out the page 28.
All right. They really honestly put in there, don't be a dick. Like, basically, we're saying, we don't want anybody who's a jerk to live in this neighborhood. That was pretty funny. But what about you?
So a lot of deed restrictions are old.
Right.
And so I had one out in Lago Vista.
Okay.
And so I was reading through the restrictions, and it restricted what race of person could be there.
Ooh, it got into a protected class.
Which, fun fact, is not enforceable.
It's not enforceable,
Yeah,
right?
so
no.
it might-
because
so-
they're a protected class. Like people of race, sex, religion,
National origin.
national origin. Students are a protected class.
Yep. 55 and up.
Are they a protected class? Certain handicaps are a protected class. Certain illnesses are a protected class. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not enforceable.
Yep, it's not enforceable.
But it's still there.
But yep. And so apparently you can file anything, even if it's against the law. Even now, like if you want to go make new deed restrictions, you can file it, but it's not enforceable.
It's not enforceable. Wow, that's
This is not
interesting.
legal advice.
Oh yeah, I am not giving you legal advice, but oh my gosh, that's pretty crazy. I know. What do they call those? Blue laws? Are those blue laws?
I don't know.
The ones that were created a long
Blue
time
balls?
ago. Blue. Well, it could be. Well, depending on what the blue. Now we can. Depending on what the blue laws are, it could cause you to have blue balls. I'm just saying. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Well,
So,
I think that.
but no, I think there's another section that I think is really important.
Okay.
What should a buyer ask about an
Ooh,
HOA before
yeah.
buying? Like what would you say are really important questions?
So I would ask for the budget, which you get with a resale certificate, but you
Okay.
want to make sure they're financially stable.
Because a HOA might not have a lot of money and might not have a high monthly fee, that's not necessarily a good thing because that means the assessments could increase.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the funds
So
to
if you
take
have
care
a
of
pool and there's 100 homes and they each pay $30 a year,
Yeah.
well, after a year, you're going to need more money to take care of the pool.
You're probably looking at an assessment. Yeah. Okay. That's a
And
good
so
point.
it's better, in my opinion, it's better to plan it out and pay over the year versus all at once.
Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind is how high are those fees? How much money do they have? Are there roads and pools where you might see that special
Expenses,
assessment?
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then,
Any lawsuits?
yeah.
Are there any lawsuits? Are there rental restrictions? Because that's a big one. If you're an investor and you're coming in and you're thinking you can rent, you got to make sure that you really can.
Yep.
And sometimes there's a percentage. Are we at that percentage? And when your lease is up, is now you're not going to be able to release it?
Yeah.
So those are important. Airbnb restrictions, if you're thinking
That
again.
became pretty common.
That's very common now. And then also pet restrictions.
Yep.
Like certain breeds of
how
dogs
many.
or you can't have a pig
Or chickens.
and exterior approvals, you know, like I wanted to have a tennis court in my backyard, but I couldn't because I couldn't have the lights, which I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't have to have the lights, but then no part of the tennis court could be visible from the road.
Oh.
And I'd put a pool where that would have worked. But then I went back later I had listings in the neighborhood. Somebody built a sport court right out, like literally not a tree around it, and you could see it from multiple roads. And I'm like, how did he's probably on the HOA.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably gave him the idea.
Right? Okay, and so you want to make sure, you know, if you have special things that you want to ask those questions. And then you want to know who maintains the roofs if it's a condo. I mean, when it's a residential community, it's always the owner.
Yeah.
And then fences, who's maintaining those community fences, the roads, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So those are all very important questions as buyers to ask. Yeah. All right.
Well, that wraps it up, I think.
Yeah, that was a good, bad, and ugly of HOA.
It's not one of our fun sessions, but
No, but it's informative and it's important to.
and I think a lot of people have questions around HOAs.
I think so too. They're very confusing, and there's something that we all have to pay on and pay attention. And it's good to know that these guys can be pretty powerful and foreclose on your house.
Especially in
so
Texas.
we got to take them seriously and ask those right questions. So,
Well, until next time.
yes, you can find us at housenextdoortx.com and
Like, share, comment.
follow. Yes, all the good stuff. Thank you.